Might as well find out where the best food is. From restaurant reviews to the fun of food from around the region to around the world. This is The Food Show with Andrew Coppolino on 570 News.
And here we go. Welcome to The Food Show. Once again on a Sunday afternoon. Getting pretty close to Christmas time, and here in the studio at 570 News and The Food Show groaning board over there is not filled with food. It's filled with poinsettias. It's just lovely here in the studio, and I'm glad you could join me today. It's great to have you alongside, as it always is when we do this, food and restaurants and dining and all kinds of great stuff that happens here on The Food Show. Let's get right to it. I want to introduce a regular guest to the show. He comes on frequent occasions to sort of regale us with his tales of wine and different kinds of libations with which to imbibe. Jake Richards, Grape Expectations, and also the Bauer Kitchen. Welcome back to the show.
Yeah, thanks. Good afternoon.
It's great to have you here. You're going to be taking us through a kind of an interesting tasting of, I guess, basically authentic amaretto. That's kind of a funky. It's a Paolo Lazzaroni. It's an 1851, I guess, is the origin of this company, and it's one of the original Italian liqueurs, I guess. It's a beautiful looking carton, and the product itself is lovely.
Yeah, it's an amazing product. I tried this and I absolutely blew my mind. And when you're working with spirits and wine and something like this kind of made my year. So I have to share it with everybody.
Then that is remarkable. That is and also something called Liqueur 43, or I'm going to mispronounce this. It's Cuarento y Tres. It's a number 43, That's some right. kind of Spanish liqueur, which has an equally alluring glow, amberish golden glow to it.
Yeah, this is fairly new on the market, and again, really aromatic and lots of possibilities. I'm really interested to see what the bar chefs and bartenders do with this product down the road.
And you've got a couple of ports here again. And these, I guess we could qualify, Jake, as sort of the special time of the year. You know, you want to pull out out of the back of the liquor cabinet, you want to pull out a couple of chestnuts and, obviously treat your guests to your house a little bit special, or when you're out at a restaurant looking for these special after-dinner drinks. That's sort of what they're perfect for, and this is a great time of the season for it.
Yeah, we have Teller Flaggate, late bottle vintage, and a 10-year-old tawny to do a little bit of food pairing with later on.
Yeah, well, that's what we're here about, aren't we, Laura? Is Laura there? Our operator in the studio. Hello, Laura.
Hello.
Welcome back. Have you tried amaretto or any of these funky liqueurs that Jake has here?
I've never tried amaretto.
Well, stay tuned because we're going to do a little tasting test, and you can join us at least vicariously there.
Get a glass.
Get a glass.
Yeah. Okay. No problem with that.
Also joining us will be Ken Duff. He's here in the studio right now from Mama Rosa's Best Biscotti. Ken, welcome to the show. You're an entrepreneur because this is a company that you like the product, and you basically started the company around it.
Yeah, I did, Andrew. Thank you very much, by the way, for having me on the show. And it's very exciting. Yes, I was introduced to two Swiss bakers.
Okay.
Who've been together for 30 years, and they have a family bakery.
Family bakery, right?
Family bakery, and all they make in the entire bakery is biscotti, and they are so passionate about their product. I was intrigued by it.
Okay.
Tasted it, tried it, and it is absolutely fabulous. You know, in fact, when I'm sampling the product, jokingly I say to some of the samplers who taste the product, I give them a warning that it's highly addictive.
Highly addictive, okay.
It is so good.
I love the crunchiness, that they're double-baked Italian cookies, the traditional biscotti. They have that fennel anise flavor, many of them in the original, and they're great for dipping in espresso, but we might be able to sort of dip them into some of these liqueurs because they seem like a good cookie. You're bringing also, Jake, to show us a little bit of a thing called an amaretti, which is a little cookie that is a sort of traditional pairing with the amaretto.
Right, well, that's kind of the basis of the liqueur, but yeah, the biscotti is going to go great with, I think, all of this.
Well,
so
we're in for a treat.
That was
today.
kind of serendipity.
Now, for people listening on the radio, I'm sorry you won't be able to enjoy these great flavors. I want to direct you to the internet, though, and you can go to 570news.com and go to the webcast, the button there, and you can take a look and see what happens here in the studio, and you'll get an idea of at least what some of these liqueur products and the biscotti and amaretti look like, and that may be some solace if you're not able to enjoy like we are here. Also joining me later in the hour will be Heather Travis. She's from the Beef Information Center. Ken, you used to be a butcher, right?
Yes.
Okay, well, maybe you'll have some specialized questions for Heather, because she's going to talk about a bit of beef for the holidays, which I always equate with, again, those special meals, pulling out that really big roast that you sort of don't cook any other time of the year and cooking that for special occasions. Now, we're going to give away some stuff this show as well, so stay ready by the phone. The phone number is 519-570-2545. That's 519-570-2545 or star 570 on your cell. Call in when we say, and you can win this wonderful-looking Canadian beef merchandising guide. I call it the beef cuts chart, because you can find out where your porterhouse comes from. Is it a flank? Is it a strip loin? Is it from the hind? Is it from the top of the animal, from the bottom of the animal? So we'll be giving away a couple of those beef charts when Heather Travis joins us from the Beef Information Center. And as well, Ken, you're going to be able to. We'll have to have a little contest or something for people calling in to win some biscotti. And sample some of your fare. That's great. Did you know that today is National Noodle Ring Day? I don't know what a noodle ring is, but National Noodle Ring Day. Yeah. It's also St. Gentian's Day. This is the patron of innkeepers, so sort of keeps with the whole bar sort of hospitality theme that we've got going on. And in 1686, Prince Louis II de Condé, known as the Great Condé, died. He was a French general who loved to hunt and had a passion for rice, I understand. And several dishes have been named for him, including consommé Condé and crème Condé. So if you're a cooking and sort of food history aficionado, maybe that name means something to you. What I don't understand is if he had such a passion for rice, why didn't they name a rice dish after him? It doesn't add up. 1686, but I find that really interesting because I would love to now know when rice made its way into Central Europe. How early did it come across? Like, was it in the 1400s that rice came into Central Asia? So 1686, for this guy to love rice, is pretty extraordinary. But then again, maybe that's just me. Now, more timely, 1874, we're moving up in years. James Lewis Kraft was born. I'll give you one guess who that guy was. Yeah, he was the founder of Kraft Company, a wholesale cheese distributor and producer. In 1916, he patented a pasteurized processed cheese at low cost that would not spoil. It wasn't a great hit with the public, but the U.S. Army purchased over 16 million tins during World War I, and that's obviously when he made a lot of money. Mm-hmm. During the Depression, it became popular because of its low cost. So if you don't like Kraft processed cheese, then you have this day to rue, 1874. This is the day that James Lewis Kraft was born. So kind of interesting that it's that old. I didn't realize that goes back so far. 1874. In 1940, David Gates of the musical group Bread was born. And that's the food tie-in there, Bread. Do you know the famous song?
Aubrey. Was that Eric Clapton?
No.
Bread?
No. That was Cream. That was Cream.
Right.
Cream. Aubrey. And Aubrey was her name, that famous song. My wife is named Aubrey, so it has special meaning for me. Well, there you go. Some kind of interesting notes there. Next week on the show, just to tune you ahead a little bit, we'll have the Wordsworth Books folks here from Uptown Waterloo, and they're going to provide us with a couple of last-minute cookbook ideas. So if you're a last-minute shopper, as am I, you'll be interested perhaps to tune in and find out what's going to be at the local bookstores, especially at Wordsworth, of course, and maybe there's a last-minute gift there to buy for a food lover in your house. And as well, we'll be talking to Chris Corrigan of Hogtails fame, but of course of the also new Lancaster Smokehouse fame in the Bridgeport area of Kitchener. Haven't been there yet, but I've heard a couple of positive reports of people back. Have you been, Jake?
No. I want to though.
Yeah. I think it'll be exciting. He's embarked on a pretty big project there, because moving from such a small 8 or 10 tables, whatever he had at the original place, to suddenly, serving 200 to 300 people is a big step for a business. So we'll wish him well. But it's great that he's been able to open up and get a few more people in on his tables.
I'm surprised how quickly after the announcement to the opening, that was pretty fast. So
he had like a soft opening a couple weeks ago, and it just.
Not so soft.
Yeah, not so soft. I'm sure that it must just be a flurry of activity. But I think he really wanted to get open before Christmas time. Obviously, you can see why, because you want to get as many holiday kind of festivities going in there.
Pay for that smoker.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, you can drove by, and there's plumes of smoke pouring out. So it's great to see. And really, it's important, I think, at that end of the town too, that he be there to develop a sort of some trade and traffic going through. You'll get some Waterloo customers, you'll get some Kitchener customers, and then I think that's right, coming across the bridge, coming across the river. So great to see. Wish him well, and he'll be giving us all the details and some of the logistics that they had to overcome to get that old building up and running and up to Hog Hill standards. Did you know also that this is according to the Canadian Press that you shouldn't eat raw cookie dough? Yeah, they've just done a study that warns people that it can make you sick. There's actually incidences of E. coli in raw cookie dough. This is the stuff you buy at the grocery store. This isn't like necessarily the stuff that you're making. This is that processed tube of it.
Okay.
Apparently teenage girls are notoriously bad for eating this raw cookie dough, and they found studies where 30, 40, 50 people were ill, and they traced it back to raw cookie dough. I always thought that was a favorite kind of snack for people. I mean, people, dig into the cookie dough before it gets cooked. But the researchers investigated 2009 outbreak of foodborne illness in the United States, and it sort of pointed back to about 75 patients were identified in 30 states, and 35 people were admitted to hospital. This doesn't affect Canada, but we have some of the same products there. Now, apparently, all of this stuff is heat treated, right? I mean, everything is blasted. But the flour that they use is not heat treated. So when you're eating this cookie dough in these packages, the flour is the thing that apparently holds some of these nasty little bugs that can make you sick. And I guess the companies are now reacting and are going to be heat treating their flour. Well, to me, that just says when you do all that kind of stuff, what kind of flavor can you possibly get out of it? Destroying any nutritional value that might be in a cookie dough. But you're sort of going so far away from what real food is that it's a bit unusual. I'm not a cookie dough fan anyway. I don't know if you guys are. Ken, you don't look like you're looking at me with some sort of skepticism, Ken, because you've got real cookies there, not fake cookies in cookie dough. For sure. Well, we also might. I don't know if we'll have time. We're just about out of time for this segment, but I got a little bit of information about airline food, the nutritional value of airline food, and Air Canada rates very, very highly, and maybe we'll have a little chat about that a little later. But Laura, what do you think? I think we need to take a bit of a break. You're listening to The Food Show with Ken Duff and Jake Richards. I'm Andrew Coppolino. This is 570 News.
This is The Food Show with Andrew Coppolino. To call Andrew, 519-570-2545. By cell, star 570. Or toll free, 1-800-570-5715.
And there we are. Welcome back again. This is the second segment of The Food Show. I am Andrew Coppolino. You're listening to 570 News, of course. And with me in the studio, Ken Duff of Mama Rosa's Best Biscotti and Jake Richards of, Grape Expectations Sommelier Services, and as well at the Bauer, works at the Bauer Kitchen as well. So we are drinking a Spanish liqueur called Licor 43 or Corento y Tres 43. Mm-hmm. What am I drinking? What is the basis of this drink?
It's citrus and fruit-based spirit with herbs and spices, 43 ingredients, which are
43
a secret.
Ingredients. Okay, secret, yeah.
So no one really knows, but you can pick up on it. I mean, there's huge vanilla, butterscotch, some mocha notes to it.
Orangey.
Citrusy.
And it's got a nice play. I'm surprised, actually. I was skeptical when I see the color of these kinds of things, that it's not an overpoweringly sweet drink, is it?
Yeah,
quite nice.
Really interesting. Just came on the market. Like I said, I'd be very interested to see what bartenders do with this product down the road.
Has a nice roundness and mouthfeel. When would I drink this? When do you think? When's the time to drink it?
I would say like an after dinner sort of drink, or be interesting to see. I mean, there were different cocktails that they have recipes, but this is really going to evolve this product. Okay. And then same with the amaretto. Okay. Which is
now that's the classic Italian kind of, you see it on TV and commercials, advertising, and whatnot. But this is the Lazzaroni from Italy. Yeah, and it's got a beautiful box and case, and it's lovely.
Yeah, and this puts all other amarettos to shame. Nothing else comes.
Okay, well I'll take your word for it because I'm not an amaretto drinker.
And neither am I. No? Really. This was something that I kind of stumbled upon at a wine tasting one afternoon. And I was really blown away.
That's quite nice.
This is, I mean, this will be a constant on my bar now. And It's in the liquor store now. Now, I think the one that we became elusive because it was supposed to be released to the liquor store. They had a big 2-page spread in the Vintages magazine.
Right.
And then we didn't see any for about 6 to 8 weeks afterwards. So it became this obsession. After I tried it, I had to get my hands on a bottle.
Dried fruit, star anise, kola nut. It's got smooth and velvety. They're tasting notes from tastings.com magazine. Got a high score. Finishes long, lingering meringue, pink peppercorn, and almond fade. Kind of cool. And it's only $32. So it's not prohibitively expensive like some very, very good scotches or something like that. It's a reasonable price for stocking your Christmas time beverage shelf.
Yeah. And if you are interested in this sort of product, I'd go and get it quickly because we didn't get a whole lot of them this first round. Okay. But if it sells well, it'll become a
Vintages,
constant.
right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And the interesting thing is the Amaretti cookies is essentially it's an eau de vie macerated with these cookies, a little bit of coloring added, but that's it. Simple. Very, very simple. And
keep going, Jake. My mouth is full of Amaretti, Jake. Keep going.
And there's actually no in the Amaretti cookies. There's no almond in it. Everyone thinks that it's an almond cookie, but it's actually apricot. Pit. Right. Okay. So a little bit of almond flavoring, but no actual almonds.
So that's a traditional method then, I guess.
Exactly.
These are excellent. These are just excellent. I really like because they're not too sweet again, and I can see where they go. Now, again, this is an after dinner drink for Amaretto. Probably, right?
Or even before, yeah. Yeah, definitely as an aperitif, I think, just to get your palate revved up.
Yeah, and I've seen it on the rocks, and you can serve it cool, and adds a different complexion to it. Yeah.
Right, and again, a lot of cocktails that are being created with this. And some recipes there was a really great poached pear recipe for this product, which I considered doing last night, but 1:30 in the morning, I don't want to be poaching pears.
So I guess if balsamic vinegar or balsamico in Italy originates in Modena region, is there a Serono? Like we hear the classic Amaretto di Serono. That must be a region then, I guess, that maybe Amaretto originated in, and this is part of that.
I really don't. That's a good question. I'm not sure.
I'm joking on my Amaretti.
The Di Serono was. Everyone recognizes that square-shaped bottle. Yep. And this is really like a traditional recipe. Yeah. I don't know how much the Di Serono follows that.
Yeah. Okay.
So
this is the original.
This would be more like if you get to like a regional thing, this is the product that would best represent that.
Well, one of my favorite drinks of course, speaking with Jake Richards, Grape Expectations, grapeexpectations.ca. Sommelier, he's the guy that comes in and does our wine tastings on a regular basis here on the show. Now, one of my favorites for for the wintertime, especially it seems, is port. And you've got a couple of really good looking ports here. Tell us a little bit about this first one.
Well, the Taylor Fladgate, and everyone's pretty familiar with the brand of the Taylor Fladgate. This is the late bottle vintage port. This is it's a good price point for an entry-level port, and this has actually been aged for, I think, about 6 years in oak barrels, and then bottled, therefore late bottle vintage, as opposed to a vintage port, which usually is 2 years, and then the rest of it, 2 years in oak, and then the rest of it in a bottle, so the bottle age before it gets released. So I brought some dark chocolate.
Yeah, I'm kind of intrigued by that, yeah. These I understand, yeah.
Yeah, these are the classic pairings for port. And you can mix it. My wife likes port and 7. She's British, so they like to mix that. So the LBV is a good one to do that with, to do any mixing or cocktails. And then we have the 10-year-old tawny.
Well, that's interesting because some chocolate with the port had the chocolate first, and then the port. It seems to draw some chocolate flavors out of the port.
It does,
even.
Yeah. It really amplifies the flavors there.
Okay, now this is an older one.
Right. Now, people tend to think with 10 or 20-year-old tawnies, you can see... So
big
the
difference in
tawnies,
color,
Exactly, yeah. The tawny really refers to the color for the style of port. And a lot of people think that a 10 or 20-year tawny, that's how old the port is, but it's almost kind of the opposite of a single malt scotch. So when you see a 12-year-old single malt, the youngest in that blend is 12 years old. Now, whereas with a port, this could be a couple years ago blended. It's essentially the winemaker's interpretation of a vintage port.
Right.
But there's 10-year-old port in this, and then relatively new, and then aged in oak for 10 years to get this nice more of a garnet. You get some oxidative aromas to it, almost slight sherry-like. You get a little bit of that kind of slightly nutty.
Yeah. And that's because it's aged in sherry barrels, not necessarily.
No, not the port. You do get port, cask port aged Scotch sometimes. So
okay, sorry, I've got it backwards. Yeah. Okay, that's because I've had a couple of
a couple of drams.
I have to say, I think in my selection here, I would go with the port over as an after dinner thing. I would go with the port. That's just me personally. Ken, what would you do? Would you go with the liqueur, or would you go with the port?
Well, I enjoyed the liqueurs also. However, the port is marvelous.
Yeah, it is good.
So I would go either way.
Flexible. He'd be an easy dinner guest.
and all of these actually I think, pair really well with the biscottis that you have here. So we have to
dip into those. Yeah. I like the amaretti though, because they have that nice crispiness, and they're not too sweet, which I'm sure the biscotti's not sweet either. But I haven't tried those yet, so I'll have to get around to that. Again, so. 2 liqueurs, 2 ports. They both have sort of similar places in the meal. Maybe a little bit more flexibility in the liqueurs being, say, something before dinner, rather than the ports, which sort of traditional after dinner drink.
Yeah, but actually, port started off as a before dinner.
Did it?
Thing. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, and then
I've got that backwards too. Then I must. I can bookend my meal then with port.
Yeah, definitely. Why not?
Okay.
Yeah. It's. I think it's fairly versatile, and then you see like with the chocolate or. So that would be kind of like your after dinner, and then something like the blue cheese if you decide to start with a cheese course. And definitely some strong flavor cheeses if you decide to go with the port.
Blue cheese really has a nip to it, but it doesn't knock over the port at all. So give us a quick sum up of the 4 drinks, and then we'll make sure that it gets on my website, and I'll give people that information so they can hunt down what you've got going for us here.
So the liqueur 43, this is just released last week, I believe, at Vintages. The amaretti, the Lazzaroni, I can't praise this product enough. And then of course the Taylor Flaggate, the 2 different ports, the LBV, the 10-year-old tawny. There's a 20-year-old tawny out, and if you're fortunate enough to have a few extra bucks to spend this Christmas, there's vintage ports from Taylor Flaggate available. In fact, the Waterloo Town Square store has a couple of really nice ones at the moment.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Jake, as always. Thanks for correcting me on all my mistakes as well. I appreciate that. Keep me straight here. That's Jake Richards of Grape Expectations and Bauer Kitchen. We want to thank him for bringing in a great selection of, I guess, sort of holiday time drinks that you can sort of bolster your liquor cabinet for serving guests. Thanks, Jake. Well, that's it for this segment. Again, time flies when we're having fun and drinking our way through the quarter hour. We do have to take a few commercial breaks. When we come back, we'll be talking with Heather Travis of the Beef Information Center. Please stay with us. I'm Andrew Coppolino. This is 570 News.
We all have to eat. You might as well find out where the best food is. From restaurant reviews to the fun of food from around the region to around the world. This is The Food Show with Andrew Coppolino on 570 News.
Welcome back again. The third segment of The Food Show is upon us. I got some show and tell that I want to show you guys. If you're watching on 570news.com, press on the webcast button and you can see what's going on here in the studio. I'm holding up now a T-shirt. Here we go. There we go. And there's a gentleman on the front, and the words underneath say, Jake, what?
Noma.
Noma. Do you know what Noma is?
No,
Noma is the number 1 restaurant in the world according to the Pellegrino list, the Danish restaurant, right? A friend of mine who is also was a Conestoga College culinary student, Wallace Wong, he's been on the show. He went there and did a stage, and he brought this shirt back for me. The reason he brought the shirt back to me that's their dishwasher. The restaurant's dishwasher, and he signed it for me. Very, very nice guy. I don't know what part of Africa he is from, but when the restaurant won the number 1 rating or prize or whatever, they were going to be going over to wherever the prize was given out, like the big ceremony, and he couldn't come because of his work visa, or there was some problem with his passport, so he couldn't make the trip with all the rest of the other restaurant officials, people from NOMA, and they felt very badly. So they did away with all of their tuxedos and things they were going to wear for this very formal special night, and they had these T-shirts made with his picture on it. So all awesome. 40 of them, or however many were on the stage, stood up. Isn't that neat? That's a really neat story, yeah.
Well, that's like when you hear about the restaurant business being a family, your second family.
And how important, tell me, you're in the business, how important is a good dishwasher? I mean, the cook, the kitchen really rely on these guys. So we should applaud our restaurant plongeurs, pot washers, and dish pit guys. But I thought that was kind of a neat little touch, yeah. Equally brilliant is beef, and beef at the holidays is one of my favorite things, and I always try to find the special beef cut that I want to serve to my guests. And to help us do a little bit more preparation and selection, I've got Heather Travis on the line. She's from the Beef Information Center. Hello, Heather, are you there?
Hi there.
Good to have you here.
Hi, it's great to be here.
I'm really excited because I'm going to be giving away one of my favorite things. I've been waiting for one of these for years and years, and Heather finally sent me one. It's the Canadian Beef Merchandising Guide, or the Beef Cuts Chart, as I like to call it. And let's start right away, Heather. We're going to get a couple callers on the line, and we'll have them ask them a trivia question, and we'll give away a couple of these things. Sound good?
Yeah, sounds great.
Okay, so call 519-570-2545. That's 519-570-2545. And the question you have to get correctly is, true or false? All meat grinds, beef, pork, poultry, have the same maximum fat content. Is that true or is that false? Okay, so while we're taking those calls, I'll just say hello to Heather. Heather, this time of the year, great for beef cuts, great for that sort of family gathering. Tell us a little bit about what people might sort of think about when they're selecting the cut of beef that they want for a holiday, family, or friends gathering.
Well, I think the first thing you want to think about is the holidays are stressful enough, so we might as well make sure that the meal that we're making causes us to decrease our stress levels, something that's easy but everybody will love. And the answer to that question is a roast of beef, because you literally season it with some salt and pepper, throw it in the oven on a rack, no liquid, no lid, nada. Follow the instructions on beefinfo.org. You turn down the temperature quickly after 10 minutes sear, and you literally leave it until your meat thermometer says it's ready. The whole house can be vacuumed, your bathrooms can be cleaned, and the roast just cooks itself.
It is sort of remarkable to me when you get the technique down, how carefree and trouble-free. It's almost like I don't exactly know how to describe it. It's just sort of like put it in the pot, when you get the right sort of balance of all those numbers, and you can let it go. You can forget about it.
Well, it's honestly, it's as mindless as it can be, and the whole house smells so great. It's such a great reward for such a little amount of work. It's tremendous.
Have you seen, generally our food culture, I think it grows. Excuse me. We've been drinking some
yes,
amaretto.
I know. I can't wait to purchase it. It sounds delicious.
And it's the amaretti biscuit that got caught in my throat. Anyway, the general food culture that's around us, even over a period of a year, to me, I just see it growing by leaps and bounds. People are becoming much more educated about beef, much more educated about the way they're cooking some of these finer things for family time and whatnot. What's your impression of that, and how beef marketing and how the idea of beef has also sort of either carried that along or has also been forced to sort of keep up with a changing sort of demographic and interest in these products?
Yeah, it's really interesting. I think one of the things that's happening is we're coming back around to the things that maybe our grandparents knew in terms of beef, and that is how versatile it really is. Nobody would cook a roast of beef and it would be gone that night unless they were feeding an army, literally.
Right. Yes.
You would cook a roast of beef and it wouldn't be boring old leftovers.
Mm-hmm.
It was a planned purpose for every single ounce of beef that was left over from that initial Sunday roast, which is what I grew up with. The Sunday roast, Yorkshire pudding, mushy peas, the whole 9 yards. and the turning those leftovers into something spectacular, sandwiches, soups, putting it on pizza even, something a little bit more modern, turn it into a great pad thai dish. There's so many great uses for the leftovers, and I think people are rediscovering that, which is wonderful.
I see. I sort of think of what you said there about pad thai was interesting, because I sort of think of the roast beef and Yorkshire pudding and the sort of the English kind of meal.
Yeah.
But we're finding now our ethnic communities are drawing us into some of their flavorings and meat preparations that they use. So it really does open up a whole bunch of other avenues, a whole bunch of other doors to some really exciting flavors for the base flavor of the beef itself.
Oh, exactly. And honestly, one of my absolute favorite pot roast recipes is a curried pot roast. And, 40 years ago, who would have made a curried pot roast? Well, now it's something so traditional, yet you're combining other flavors, and you're just getting some great international flair to everyday cooking. That's really easy. Pop it in a slow cooker, and you're done.
Okay, Heather, I think we've got somebody on the line. Peggy, are you there? Can you hear us, Peggy? Hello, Peggy. Okay, we're having a little trouble. I think Peggy is a caller that got the right call number, whether she has the answer to our skill testing question. True or false, all meat grinds, beef, pork, and poultry have the same maximum fat content. What is that, true or false? Heather, I'll point out that all of the answers are at your website. Why don't you tell us about where that website is and what's there?
Yes, website is www.beefinfo.org, and literally everything you need to know for holiday entertaining is there. We've got video cooking lessons, step-by-step photographic lessons. Really, no matter which way you like to learn, whether it's reading, watching, or following pictures, we've got it there to guide you through how to make great roast beef, pot roast. We've got a contest to win 10 slow cookers. We've got lots of great things in e-zine that's free. And if anybody's been following me on Twitter this morning, which is twitter.com/Canadian Beef, I have actually been tweeting hints to all of the answers that we are going to be talking about today. So if you're following me there, you'll be able to get the answers really easily.
Okay, well, tell us a little bit about the beef cut chart that we're giving away here. That's a kind of a classic thing. I've seen it at grocery stores and in butcher shops, and actually Ken, one of our guests here, is a butcher himself. What's on that chart? And it just shows an amazing array of the different kinds of cuts, and there must be hundreds of ways of preparing these cuts.
Yeah, that's the great thing about beef, and also the really scary thing about beef is that there are so many cuts, and there are so many great ways to prepare it. And that cut chart traditionally is seen in butcher shops. I know anybody, if you've gone into a grocery store, you've seen it in the back there. And it shows you which part of the animal all of the cuts come from, and then it groups them into cooking categories. And so these cooking categories, and you'll notice this on the label at the grocery store, it follows cooking instructions. So, for instance, we're talking oven roast. If you look for the words oven roast in the name at the grocery store, you're going to find a cut that you can cook following our oven roast instructions. Same thing for pot roast. And then the same thing goes in the springtime for grilling or marinating steaks.
It's a good thing to know because the technique is sort of half the battle, isn't it?
Absolutely, and you can turn an amazing cut of beef. If you took a tenderloin and put it in the slow cooker with a couple cans of tomatoes, you would be ruining a very wonderful cut of beef that doesn't need much effort at all.
Okay, let's see if we can get Peggy back on the line now. Peggy, are you there? Hi, Peggy, are you there, Peggy?
Yes.
Hi, Peggy.
Hi, Peggy.
How are you doing?
Hello. Good.
So the question is, true or false, all meat grinds, pork, beef, poultry, have the same maximum fat content. Is that true or is that false?
I think it's false.
And I'll throw that over to you, Heather.
Unfortunately, you are wrong.
Oh, no.
Yes, and you are not alone, Peggy. This is a really common misconception that, if you're making your favorite chili, that you should go with another grind because it might be lower in fat. Mm-hmm. But you're actually making a choice to choose something with less nutrients, not less fat.
Oh.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Ground beef, ground chicken, ground turkey, ground pork, they all have the same maximum fat content. The difference is in flavor and in nutrients.
And yet some look like they have more fat in it.
Exactly, and it's just appearances.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, Peggy, you know what I'm going to do, because it's such the holiday season and I'm such a nice guy. I'm going to give you the poster anyway. So if you give your information to Laura on the line, the studio, she'll take down your information. You can come pick it up at the studio. Okay?
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank
Bye-bye.
you for listening. Appreciate your call. Now we do have another caller, another poster to give away. How many essential nutrients are there in Canadian beef? How many essential nutrients are there in Canadian beef? We'll take the second caller who comes up with that number, and these answers, again, are on the beefinfo.org website, and they'll be able to be verified there since we don't have KPMG or any of those accounting firms. So, Heather, one of the things that I think people play down too much maybe is I'm looking at the beef cuts chart. I'm looking at the loin, rib, area, which is the center part of the animal, and then the hips and the hip and the chuck cuts are either end of the animal. In those outer areas, there's some very, very good cuts of beef that people can use. They're often a little bit cheaper, but when they're cooked properly with the proper techniques, they can produce some pretty amazing flavors, correct?
Correct, yeah.
That's close.
Yeah, so anything that has marinating in the name, saute in the name, or that has pot roast in the name, these are cuts that are really value priced. You know, you're going to save a bundle at the grocery store, which is amazing at this time of year. And then, you know, with a little bit of extra effort, you're going to turn these into really tender, like a blade pot roast. Turn that into an amazing meal that's going to feed a crowd for a really small amount per serving.
Do you know Jennifer McClagan?
Yes, I do.
You know about her new book, Odd Bits. I want to ask you about some odd bits then. This is the offal, the OFFAL,
yes.
Not awful, offal.
Offal, yes,
these
not
are
my area of expertise, so go ahead.
But do you find that there's more interest in the cuts that are less known, and also ones that represent perhaps the more odd bits of the animal itself?
Yeah.
I remember my grandmother, Italian grandmother, used to cook beef tongue quite regularly. That was a big foodstuff for a lot of people back in the day.
Yes.
Is there a resurgence in that kind of food?
There is, actually, and I haven't tried it, but I know a friend of mine took me to Kaplansky's in Toronto, and he had a beef tongue sandwich that looked and smelled amazing. So the next time I'm there, I'll have to try it. But we're actually hoping to work with Jennifer to develop more recipes for those odd bits, because that's one thing, you know, traditionally we don't have those recipes on our website, and we've had a lot of requests come in, especially since we've started engaging with people on Twitter. We've had a lot more requests for tongue recipes, bone marrow recipes, which I know is a favorite of my friend Rob. You know, there's lots of resurgence in that nose to tail eating, which frankly is wonderful, because, you know, a beef producer, there's 83,000 of them across Canada, and they raise beef cattle. You know, that's their livelihood. And so to be able to have people appreciate everything that they do and the, you know, every single thing that can come out of that animal is wonderful.
Heather, I want to thank you very much for your time, and also for donating these beef charts that we're giving
out
here
yeah,
today.
no problem.
I appreciate your time, and have a great holiday season. And I'm certainly going to be. I'm cooking a pot roast today, actually, so I'll be thinking of you when I'm doing that.
Perfect.
Thanks a lot, Heather.
Thanks.
Heather Travis is with the Beef Information Center, beefinfo.org. Now, that's the end of the third segment. We have one more segment to go. We're talking to Ken Duff about Mama Rosa's best biscotti. But remember, we'll take two more callers. The second caller in with the question answer: how many essential nutrients are there in Canadian beef? That's a little bit of a tougher one, and you get a Beef Cuts poster as well. We have to take a break. We'll be back after these messages. I'm Andrew Coppolino. This is 570 News.
This is the Food Show with Andrew Coppolino on 570 News.
Down by the sea, the lonely oyster, every day getting sadder and moister.
And here we go once again, a little oyster tune there for you. Welcome back to the Food Show. Now, we have a very important business entrepreneur, food entrepreneur here. Ken Duff is with us from Mama Rosa's Best Biscotti. So again, this is a bit of a passion of yours. How did you land upon biscottis? It was just the impression that you got from these two bakers that you wanted to be participating, or do you just love the cookie so much?
Well, it is, Andrew. You know, I've been in the food business for more than 40 years, and have developed a passion for food, of course, and like to think I know good quality and good taste when I come across it.
Well, you came onto the show, so you must know good quality.
Of course.
He's appreciating.
He said humbly. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I met these two Swiss bakers again, who've been together for 30 years, and tried some of their product, and enjoyed it very much. But I want to add some extra quality and attributes that the consumer would really appreciate. So we've made the product from the finest Belgian chocolate, the first thing. We've also made the product nut-free. In fact, it's made in a nut-free facility.
That's great.
Right? And as added attributes, we've added no preservatives. So there are no preservatives, and the product also contains zero trans fat. So many customers appreciate that. And the nut-free aspect especially In fact, I get several emails from consumers out there about the nut-free attribute. And we've taken it even a step further, whereby we have double wrapped the biscotti. So it comes in the outer bag, but each single stick of biscotti is also wrapped separately. So when the bag is opened, there are two benefits, of course. It keeps it fresh, fresher longer. But the second attribute, to consumers who have a very, very sensitive allergy to nuts, once the bag is opened, being that the inners are wrapped as well, there's absolutely no threat of contamination.
Very good.
Excellent. And they appreciate that very much.
What makes a good biscotti? I've tried to bake them. They're not easy to bake. The double baking and getting the consistency right, they're not easy to bake, I have to say. But maybe I'm a baking idiot. But what makes a good biscotti?
Well, I have to tell you, I haven't been baking biscotti, or don't bake biscotti, like these two Swiss bakers who've been together for 30 years. So I guess in answer to that question, it's a 30-year passion that makes good biscotti.
It takes 30 years to perfection. Oh, well, I'm going to give up then. But it's the crispiness, it's the crunch, it's a sort of a nice mouthfeel that isn't too grainy and sandy.
It is, and the ingredients, of course, too, and it's made of all the finest ingredients.
Now, this is a company that's based in Guelph. Your head office is in Guelph. It's baked in Mississauga.
Exactly.
So it fits in with our 100-mile kind of theme as much as it could.
That's right.
But where can we get these? You've got them selling here locally within the Waterloo region, and a lot of listeners will be able to take advantage. Why don't you tell us where we can find them?
Yes, we do. We sell them in many local retailers and shops. At Vincenzo's, you can find the product. As a matter of fact, to the listeners, if you're in the area on Saturday, December the 17th, we'll be doing a sampling of biscotti. We're pleased to introduce 2 new flavors this week as well. In addition to the traditional chocolate vanilla flavor, we're introducing chocolate orange and a lovely chocolate raspberry biscotti this week at Vincenzo's. So if you're in the area, please drop in. It's also sold at Central Fresh Markets, out in St. Jacobs, at Coken Village Cafe, and several other locations in the Kitchener-Waterloo area.
Excellent. What do you say? Why don't we give away a pack of 2, right?
Sounds like a great idea.
What have you got there? You got what brands or what flavors you have?
We have the original chocolate vanilla with us today, and we also have the new introduced this week chocolate orange biscotti as well.
So that's one of each?
One of each.
Okay, so you can get one of each, and that's a total of how many cookies in each pack?
It's a 6-pack.
6-pack, so they'll get 12 each.
12
okay,
biscuits,
2 winners.
Yes.
We got to have 2 winners. Let's have the third and the fifth caller in 519-570-2545. That's 519-570-2545, and you'll win yourself some great biscotti from Mama Rosa's Best Biscottis. And that will... Can you imagine, Ken, with these dipping them into espresso coffee?
Well,
that's what I like to do.
Yeah, the espresso...
I mean, that's the whole idea, then, isn't
perfect.
it? You dip them so that it softens them and they have a nice creamy texture in your mouth.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Well, people really associate biscotti with dipping it in coffee, but there are many other wonderful uses for it as well. In fact, it makes a lovely light dessert in a bowl of vanilla or your favorite flavored ice cream.
That's right, or gelato or something.
Yeah. It's absolutely fantastic. It makes a nice light dessert served on a dish with berries, strawberries, blueberries, etc. Very many uses other than with the traditional coffee, which is lovely with them.
And of course, there's things like the amaretto and the corrente.
Dip some of my amaretto.
Just amaretto.
Well, that opens up a whole new avenue for serving biscotti.
That might be all right.
I think so. Thanks a lot, Ken. Hey, good luck too. It's great to see an entrepreneur coming along at developing a new product and a new company locally here. So best wishes to Mama Rosa's Best Biscotti.
Thank you, Andrew.
Well, that's it for the show for this week. I'm really glad you could join me. I want to thank Greg Bowen, our cameraman, as well as Laura Geddes, operator in the studio here. Visit 570news.com for an archive of past shows, and follow the Food Show at twitter.com, 570food show, and read my column in the Kitchener Post each and every Friday. Join us next week for more on the Food Show. We will have a visit with Chris Corrigan of Hogtails and his new Lancaster Smokehouse, and the Wordsworth Books people will be here with some last-minute cookbook shopping ideas. Remember, eat wisely and eat well. Thank you for joining us here on The Food Show, only on 570 News.
You can't deal with chronic pain without